I'm Cindy from Cindy's Cozy Kitchen, and several of you have asked me to make a tutorial of my wet by wet, not wet on wet cookies that end up looking something like this. These are the ones that I made for the Gobo Foundation in some pretty fall colors, so I'm going to try to give you a nice little demo so you can see what I do. The first thing that you do is make sure that your consistency is just right. So you want about a 20-second consistency. You want it to hold in place, but it has to be liquid enough that you can continue to work with it so that it's not drying as you're going along. So the first thing I normally do is I start in a corner, and I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing here, and I'm going to pipe the edges of my flour. So here we go, and it doesn't have to be super exact. I just kind of figure it out as I go along a lot of the time. So the hallmark of these is that they're really colorful and that they have some details to them. So I like to go through and add some pretty details as I go along. So I've got the edge of my flour, some pretty dots to go in the corners. I'm going to go back and add a little bit more white here. And it's wet beside wet for the most part, but for the smaller details, you're going to drop wet on top of wet. And this is my favorite way to kind of get everything to smooth out. I just pick up my cookie and I just drop it a little bit, and that helps everything to kind of smooth out. If you need a little extra help, you can always get a toothpick and kind of dab things down a little bit as well. So we've got a little outline there. We're going to put the center in. And there we go. That's the start of our flower in the corner. Now, my base color is going to be this olive green. So I have to make sure that I keep everything smooth and liquid, so I'm going to go around the corners and around the edges of that to make sure that that white doesn't dry, because I don't want a line there. You may get a slight line, but we're trying to do our best to prevent that. So the next thing I'm going to add is some acorns here, and since they're small, I'm going to drop wet on top of wet for the acorns. You can see I'm just going to kind of dab at it a little bit, shake it down a little bit, get it the way that I want it to be. Okay, so I've got my purple here, and I'm just going to put a few little acorns in, like this. You can see I'm just filling it in as I go here, and my acorns are kind of like on a branch. They're going to face some different ways. Then the color that I'm using for any of my branches is this dark gray. So I'm going to go back again, fill it in, make the nice little branch for my acorns. Okay. Then the next thing that I like to do is I like to fill in my leaf, and so with this particular design I made some pretty oak leaves because they make me think about fall. So just kind of adding them in. You can see not very exact, just kind of shaping as I go here. And then you can see that I've got a few little gaps there, so I'm going to go back and make sure my green fills in those gaps. Okay, and you may need to use a toothpick to kind of drag it in. Make sure it's all filled. We don't want to see cookie underneath. There we go. And while, to keep again it from setting up, I'm going to go around the outer edge of that cookie. And if the shape isn't exactly what you want, you can use your toothpick to kind of reshape it a little bit. And I'm going to smooth that out there just a little bit. And then I'm going to add my details. got a little clog there. Okay. And you can see I'm trying to work as fast as I can. That's really important in this cookie so that you don't set up edges. Okay, once again, if I need to, I can tap those down just a little bit, and that helps break the surface tension to smooth it out as much as possible. And I see that I have a little gap right here, so I can either use my blue and kind of finish it out, or I can try to drag a little bit of green in there. Okay, all right. So the last thing that I'm going to add is just going to be a cute little viney looking thing like this right here. So I'm going to look at the colors that I've already used, and I'm going to use a different color for the primary. So I haven't used orange yet. So I'm going to use orange for the primary here. And you can see sometimes I end up going over my base. So I just try to fill it and make sure that it's all the same thickness and the same height as much as possible. Okay, so we've got that. And then I'm going to, once again, bring my green in to the edges. Fill to the corners here. And make sure to drag it in, smooth it out as well as you can. I'm going to add some berries here and another little piece of vine. Okay. All right, we're almost done. I like for my designs to be pretty busy and very kind of floral looking, even one like this that's more of a fall look. So I like to drop in some additional dots. And if you've got any little spots where it's a little rough, if you've got room, that's a good place to drop in a dot, because that kind of will help cover it. These little dots are going to end up being some tiny flowers that I'll show you. And again, at this point, your surface tension is pretty strong because your green is, your base color, which is green on this one, is setting up. So I'm going to definitely have to go in and tap these down a little bit to get them to smooth out. And like with all types of royal icing, it's all about the consistency.